I want to wish everybody a happy holiday season. As the holidays are fastly coming upon us, those of us who have a child with special needs may feel more like the holidays are a burden rather than a joy. So we put together about 10 holiday tips to make holidays more enjoyable and less stressful. So the first tip that I want to share with you is being prepared, right? We can prepare our children in many different ways for the holidays. And some of those ways might be to use a calendar. Show them an actual visual of the calendar and mark off the days that they're going to family visits, they're going to have maybe people sleeping over or going to a service, a worship service, and also mark off the days that there's no school or day program because that's also a disruption in their schedule. We have so many high expectations for the holidays, and it's oftentimes that these expectations aren't able to be met. The holidays for our children with disabilities are a disruption to their regular routine and their rituals that they rely on each day. So having these visuals is helpful. So the calendar is one way. Making a social story that shows specifically what's going to happen in one event. So if it's a family dinner and you want to practice and use your phone and tape a family dinner, practicing good manners, passing food dishes, using a napkin, things like that. They can all be videotaped and practiced and reviewed, so that will help your child be prepared for the holiday. You can take out photo albums from holidays of the past, show them where decorations belong, show them different family members that they may not see as often so that they're more familiar with them. And when you begin decorating, we may not realize that changing the arrangement of furniture or removing it from the room to make room for a tree or a larger table is very unsettling. Even just replacing regular everyday items with unfamiliar items. So even changing the tablecloth or something as simple as that can have an effect on your child's behavior, especially if they like things to be the same day after day. So try to involve your children in the decorating process. Take the gifts out of the box and place them all on the floor, label them. This is a wreath, the wreath goes on the door. Can you help me put the wreath on the door? Allow them to handle any objects that aren't too fragile. This way they're more familiar with them and maybe more accepting of them in their environment. You can decorate gradually, so rather than taking all your decorations out in one day, you can start by placing, one or two items in each room and then add to that throughout the season. Or you can split up the room. You can do adult things on one side and kid things on the other. Or you can do adult things up high and kid things down low so that they can touch them and move them if that's something they'd like to do. You can allow them to use those kid decorations and decorate however they like, encouraging their creativity rather than placing demands. So, if they don't want to put a topper on the tree, that's fine. They don't have to do that. So, allowing them to have some autonomy in how they do their decorating is a great idea. Tip number 3 is for holiday shopping. So many of us have been out there this past weekend, and we know just how crowded and noisy it can be. So shopping with a child with special needs is very challenging, and that's even more so when the stores are as busy and crowded as they get during the holiday season. So the best thing to do is to make a list and stick to it. Don't roam around the store looking for the perfect gift or a holiday item that's on sale. Stick to your list, know what you're going in for, make your trips short. Cutting the duration, maybe you can't do as many things in one day. It might require more trips, but if they're shorter trips, they're likely to be more successful. Have snacks and other distractors available, so if you do have to wait on a long line to pay for an item, you're able to distract your child with a snack or music to listen to, something like that. Use first then language. Saying first we're going to buy a gift for grandma and grandpa, then we're going to go to McDonald's or go to the park. The shopping trip should be followed up by something that's more preferred by your child. Attending holiday services. Places of worship can be very intimidating, and that's even more so when they're crowded and noisy. So if you're able to take your child during the week when the building is quiet to explore a little bit, get used to sitting quietly, kneeling down, putting books away, walking up and down the aisles if that's something they're going to need to do. You can go into the building and practice that prior. You might want to locate the bathroom in case you're going to need that during the service. You know exactly where to go. And see if there's any type of quiet space. If you need to take a break during the service, you can get up and go to a quiet area. You can take pictures of your child in all the different places and then review them. Remember how we sat here. Remember when we walked there. And you can review that, several days before the service to get them more familiar. You can choose a service, a time of the service that may be less crowded, or choose a service that specifically has a children's program. People are more understanding when there's a group of children, and your child may not stand out if they have any acting out behaviors. If there are any religious rituals that you want your child to participate in, you can practice those at home. If there's prayers or songs you want them to be familiar with, lots of practice at home to prepare them beforehand is a great way to have them be more familiar. If there's going to be loud music or singing and your child is sensitive to noise, you can bring noise canceling headphones, you can bring earmuffs, or even earplugs for them, that play music, so earbuds rather, and that will help block out some of that noise that may be disrupting to them. Again, we talked briefly about finding a quiet area. Quiet areas can be very, very important, whether you're having people to your own home or you're going out visiting. You should have an area prepared for your child with things that are familiar to them, either a blanket, a pillow, some quiet music. And when you get to the guest's home, you can show your child this area. You can practice with them some quiet down, calming activities like deep breathing, turning the lights down low, playing some soft music, rubbing their back, anything that is likely to help them calm. You can practice that prior to them actually needing to calm down. This way they're aware that there is a place in the location you are to go and calm down should things become overwhelming in their environment. You want to be proactive and look for cues that your child may be expressing that they are becoming overwhelmed, and try to get them before they reach that breaking point. If you're going out to visit others, you want to prepare them as much for your visit as you can. So this can be done through a pre-visit note, text message, email. Let them know what your child likes and dislikes. Is your child somebody who likes to be hugged and kissed? Do they prefer not to be touched? Do they like to keep their jacket on for a while when they first go somewhere? They're reluctant to give up their belongings. Are they going to be dressed very casually because they refuse to put on itchy, uncomfortable dress clothes? You could let your people you're visiting know those things before you arrive. Some kids take a longer time to warm up than others. This is a good time then that you can explore and seek out that quiet area. Your child may prefer to eat familiar foods rather than holiday specialties. So you can tell everybody that that's the plan, so nobody's insulted that your child isn't eating the special holiday food. It's best if you bring these items yourself. I remember my son was very food specific, and I asked my aunt to pick up chicken nuggets for us for him to have for dinner, and she was glad to do that. However, he knew the difference between Purdue chicken nuggets and Tyson chicken nuggets, so he refused to even eat the chicken nuggets that she purchased. So now from that I had learned, and then I brought after that. Recruit help if at all possible. Reach out to a family member or friend who's part of your gathering. Ask if they can be your child's one-to-one, for a half hour. Engage with your child. Keep an eye on him or her, making sure that they don't wander off, don't want any elopements to occur, because oftentimes when there's so many adults around, we all think that somebody's watching, and in reality, nobody's really paying that close attention to that individual. So, asking somebody to be your child's one-to-one would allow you to visit with other family members or engage with your other children if that's something that you really need to do. If you're staying overnight at someone's house, these are things, again, that you want to tell your child beforehand. Mark it down on that calendar that we talked about. These are the nights that we're going to be sleeping at, Uncle Jeff's house. The other people that are going to be in the house, are there going to be pets there that they're not familiar with? Practice, how do you pet a dog? How do you pet a cat? You know, practice beforehand so that when you're actually there, there's no tail pulling, things like that. And what are the rules in that house? Are you allowed to eat your cereal on the couch, or can you only eat meals or snacks at the table? Preparing your child beforehand could help you to avoid some problem behaviors once you're there. Foods, right? We talked about holiday foods, specialty foods. Many of us really look forward to the special meals that we have, and sometimes we only have those meals once a year. So if your child, again, has a limited repertoire, you want to bring those foods with you. If your child has allergies, food allergies, you want to make sure that you have plenty of alternatives for your child to eat. We know that being hungry also leads to problem behaviors, so we don't want them to skip a meal entirely. So the holiday meal is really not a time to insist that your child eat non-preferred or non-familiar foods. Allow them to eat the foods that they're familiar with. You really want to pick your battles. So I wouldn't choose food as my primary battle on the day of a holiday. You can prepare your child for the holiday specialties by preparing them in the weeks before so that they have an opportunity to try different dishes that maybe they haven't been exposed to since the last holiday event. You can also expose them to different spices that are part of the holiday season, whether it be pumpkin, cinnamon, peppermint. Those are all scents that we don't smell, throughout the year. They're sort of specific to these holidays. And having your child more familiar with those can prevent reactions of, ew, that's gross, I won't eat that. We want to teach our children prior to a holiday meal how to say no or no thank you. So practicing that, how to not eat something and not make a big fuss over it. So practicing those good manners beforehand is very, very helpful. If you're having a big family dinner, a really nice idea is to set the family table several days before the holiday. Put a photograph of each person and put it in front of the place where they're going to be sitting. And then review that with your child. Walk around and say, oh, this is where Aunt Sue is going to sit. Aunt Sue belongs to who? Aunt Sue belongs with Uncle Don. Where is Uncle Don going to sit? Let's find his seat. Who are Uncle Don and Aunt Sue's children? Where are they going to sit? Let's find all our different family members at the table. This way, when you sit down for this big family dinner, your child is already more familiar with the different family members. And this is especially true for situations where you may only see each other a few times a year. So having this big gathering, although these people are your family or your close friends, you may not see them and your children may not remember them by name. So the practice is really great. Gift giving. So many of us love to purchase gifts and give gifts. However, children with special needs, particularly autism, they may not understand or even like surprises. They may not be looking forward to the big parties or presents like your other children or extended family members, and people may become disappointed when they don't open a gift or when they open it and leave it on the floor and just walk away. So it's another opportunity to practice before the occasion. So you can practice gift giving at home. You can wrap some of your child's current toys or video games, whatever it is, and practice opening the gift. All throughout the year, we tell kids, not to damage things, not to rip up things. And then we give them this beautifully wrapped gift, and we expect them to do just that, rip it open. So having an opportunity to practice that and to respond appropriately is awesome for them. This way they're prepared. When they open a gift, how do they respond? Do they take the gift out? Do they hold it up? You can have a friend or a sibling show them how to do this, and then they can practice and model for each other. You want them to be able to respond in some way to the person that gave them a gift. So if they have verbal language, they can say, thanks for the DVD. It's my favorite. It's what I wanted, with some enthusiasm because they've practiced it. If your child doesn't have verbal language, they may be able to give a thumbs up or go give a hug if that's something that they're willing to do. So having the chance to practice those responses is really helpful for your child and for your whole family. Everybody knows what to expect in a situation like that. Lastly, we really want to prepare siblings. The holidays are a time for the whole family, and it's important to make siblings aware of just how stressful this season may be for their brother or sister with special needs. So before the holiday season, you want to take the time to remind your children of their siblings' communication difficulties, sensory issues, low frustration tolerance, and what their likes and dislikes are. You want to talk about how you're going to handle these issues if they arise, and what role your child will play should your child with special needs have a meltdown. So everybody's prepared when something goes awry, and by practicing and doing other preparations, we're hoping that everybody has a less stressful holiday season. So often we put pressure on ourselves to make the holidays perfect, which just really isn't realistic. In the end, the most important thing to remember is that the holiday is a time to cherish one another and the joy of spending time together. So whether you're scaling back your holidays or starting new traditions, remember to celebrate in a way that makes sense to your family. Thank you for joining us for our first webinar. And from all of us here at YCS, we wish you a very, very happy holiday. Thank you.